What's up everyone? In today's video, I'm back to give an update on the Ender Globe. As you can see, if you watch the first video, we've made a lot of progress since when we first started. We added the floor in for all of the snow. We've started to map out where we're going to put the build inside. We built this entire massive glass dome, and if we fly all the way down the side, you can see the beginnings of the base. The base is still a complete work in progress because I need to decorate it, but right now we have the general shape of it, and now it just needs to get spiced up. But let's go in order of how we built this for a quick recap of how we got to this point from the last video. So with that said, we need to find our handy dandy helpers that were inside of the globe the entire time. We had two snowmen that were over here hanging out. One of them we named Alfredo and the other we named Marinara. Here is one of them. I'm not sure who it is. There's Marinara. And over here, if we can find him, there is the other one, Alfredo. So we took these two guys and just had them right over here by where you spawn in, and just collected a whole bunch of snow for all the snow blocks and filled in the pizza snow circle, whatever you want to call it. But hope you enjoy this time lapse of it filling in, and I'll see you in a few. So now that all of the snow is filled in, the next thing we were worried about was how are we going to get all this glass? And I have found that blast mining sand, so using a bunch of TNT, is actually the fastest way to get a large amount of sand. I use TNT dupers on my server, but I don't think that anything that dupes an actual droppable item is considered no cheats. So I don't use sand dupers, I don't use rail dupers or anything of that sort, which means we had to collect around 58,000 total blocks of sand, I believe it was. You can see over here, we absolutely wreaked havoc on this desert. There should be another section in this part of the desert over here that we collected a bunch of sand in. And then there's another desert far, far away from spawn that we collected even more sand from. But once we got all of this sand, we then headed over to the super smelter on the roof of the Nether by the Mob Museum. And over at the Mob Museum, Max built up this temporary super smelter. He's constantly using it for all of the netherrack he smelts to get all the nether bricks he needs for the museum. But down below, I just threw in all my shulkers of sand. He constantly keeps it stocked with lava. And I just came by and grabbed all of the glass, which it seems like there's still a little bit left. So once we got all that glass, it was back to the end. And once we were in the end, we had to get working on the dome. The dome, you can see, is pretty large. I believe it is 214 blocks in diameter and 107 blocks tall. It was about 58,000 blocks of glass in total, and it took us just under 16 hours to complete. Now that it's complete though, let's pop the time lapse of it being built on screen, and I'll see you in a few. Now that the dome is complete, it was on to the base of the build. This was the part of the build that I was most unsure about, but I think so far it came out alright. I decided to use smooth stone because it's a relatively plain and easy to work with block, and the shape I am happy with, but in the future we're definitely going to have to spice up what it looks like. I've decided to put that part of the build on pause for now though, until we decide what colors and types of blocks we're going to use for the inside of the dome. Once I figure out what the houses are built out of and maybe what theme we end up going for, then I'll try to carry that theme down to the base so we can spice up that part of the build. Also, if we take a look on the inside of the base, you can see that all of the obsidian pillars are still left here. I removed about 2/3 of them, but I decided not to do the last little bit until I know that I for sure need to remove them. Also, inside, we're going to use this area for an ice cave system that carries underneath the dome and maybe has some secret caves with a dragon egg, a yeti. We're not really sure yet. And also, we're going to use this big area to trap a bunch of endermen with name tags so we can mob cap the ender globe and make sure that nothing is able to spawn inside of the dome itself. But now that I've shown that, let's pop the time lapse of the base being built up on screen, and I'll see you guys in a sec. Now that pretty much the entire globe structure itself is built, the problem that we're running into is how are we going to plan such a massive build so we don't end up having to remove stuff or change stuff in the future. And for that, I started mapping this out in a very ugly, and I don't know if this is a traditional way to plan big builds or if this is just my style, but I've dotted out a bunch of netherrack to where I want the general area of the mountains to be. And then right here is going to be the ski lodge. Over here is where I'm thinking a nice little village will be, and maybe a sled hill right there, and a ski back trail from the mountain itself. Down here, I'm thinking that we might have an ice rink, and then this will be a path through a nice little forest, which is kind of close to where you will enter. And that will take you to the back side of the really tall mountain that will come all the way up to here. And on the cliffs in the back, we will have a frozen waterfall with a nice hot springs area right there. But with that said, the final thing I wanted to show everyone is what this base looks like, or build looks like, with this new shaders that my friend Max found. It is called complementary shaders, and I think it looks absolutely incredible in the end. It is actually designed specifically for the end from what he told me. So if we can get these to turn on, let's check this out. And now you can see the end is looking a little bit like the Northern Lights. Pretty majestic, I would say. And I'm very excited to see the finished build once the interior of the dome is all decorated with such a cool and unique end shaders activated that will just make the build look even better. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.